Phoenix family! Today I'm going to be telling you guys all about what you should know when dating an amputee. The first point I have to make is that you should know that amputees are people too, and that we are valuable human beings in society. Even though we have disabilities and challenges, that doesn't mean that we can't be fulfilling and amazing partners to someone else. So second, the point is that it is very much so okay to disclose that you are an amputee, and it's actually encouraged by a lot of people in the disability community to state that you are an amputee on dating profiles. And I don't know, the community is a little bit split on this, but I personally think that if someone was going to have a problem with me being an amputee, they're not the kind of person that I want to be dating anyway. So for my online dating profile, if I was going to have one, I would say that I am an amputee on my dating profile because I just feel like it would negate a lot of problems further down the road. And I really don't want to have a super awkward date with someone that isn't interested in me being an amputee. So amputees should ask for help when they need it, and this point goes back to independence and respect. So you definitely need to respect the amputee's ability to be independent as much as possible. And so definitely don't be like assuming that the amputee needs help all the time, because in reality they probably don't. There probably is a few things that the amputee can do on their own, and they should be asking you for help when they need it. So do a little research on accessibility in your area and find out places that are good and accessible for the amputee to go on dates, and this will make your dates just run a lot smoother, and it also will help the amputee feel appreciated and heard, that you're taking the accessibility needs that they have into account when you plan your dates. It really is okay for you to ask questions about being an amputee or about how the amputee lives their life, and it really is encouraged and good for you to be asking questions about amputee life, because it shows that you care about that aspect of their life, but you also are not avoiding the subject of them being an amputee. And I think that it's very, very important to not avoid the subject, but to dive into it full on and to recognize that nothing's going to change with the amputee, and that the amputee is still like a great and wonderful person that you can get to know even though they're missing a limb. It's important to realize that the amputee may not always be able to wear their prosthetic leg, and so you definitely should ask and communicate with the amputee as you're getting to know them, if they will be able to wear their prosthetic leg, or if they're going to take crutches or wheelchair or some other assistive device to whatever activity you're doing. And you should also make sure that the activity that you're doing is going to be suited for whatever you take with you. Now, this comes with a caveat, because occasionally you will run into situations where you can't really plan for it, or something happens and you didn't really plan for that to happen. And that's perfectly okay. That's life with an amputee, is that every now and then you're going to run into situations where you didn't plan for it, and you couldn't have really planned for it. And so you just have to adapt in those situations where you couldn't really plan for it. Recently I went on a date that ended up being in the basement of a church house, and I had to have my date carry me down the stairs, and so it was a little awkward, but at the same time it was really good for him to see that I can't always plan ahead for things to be accessible, and it was good for him to kind of see that side of my life. So this idea actually came from my mom, so thank you, Mom, for suggesting this idea. But one idea that could help you when planning disability-friendly dates or when dating an amputee is to ask ChatGPT for accessibility friendly dates or disability-friendly dates. And ChatGPT actually gave me some great ideas that I'd like to share with you. But also there's another video that will be linked in the description down below that also has some disability-friendly date ideas. So if you'd like to check that out after this video, definitely do so. Some disability-friendly date ideas that you could do are taking a walk or a roll in a nature preserve or in a botanical garden or somewhere that has a paved trail. And a paved trail is really important because it gives flat ground, and so a wheelchair or a prosthetic leg can easily navigate, and you can enjoy time in nature with someone else. Another idea that ChatGPT gave me was to volunteer and to do something for a local charity. Now, this isn't always possible for an amputee because there are situations that are not necessarily very accessible, but there are other opportunities that are accessible, such as maybe volunteering at a food bank or a food pantry, or maybe volunteering at a soup kitchen would be okay for an amputee. And there's plenty of things where volunteer services are definitely going to be willing to accommodate with you. So just talk to the volunteer place that you're going to go to before you go and see if they can accommodate a amputee. Another idea that did not come from ChatGPT but actually came from watching a bunch of other people's videos on disability awareness is to, if you have an old wheelchair, you can have your partner have a wheelchair for a day. And this is something kind of cool because the partner that is able-bodied gets to see what it's like to be disabled for you or for the amputee, and they get to see that perspective of life that they may not otherwise see, but they get to see your perspective of life and kind of your perspective of navigating the world in a wheelchair. Another idea from ChatGPT is to visit a museum. And if you visit a museum, a lot of times those places will be very well accessible, so you won't have to worry about it very much. And plus, visiting a museum could be a really fun thing for you to do together with someone. And the last idea that I got from ChatGPT was to go to a zoo or a nature park. And going to a zoo is really good because that's most likely going to be accessible. Even if it is a larger zoo, it's still probably going to be accessible. And especially if you have a battery to stick on your wheelchair like I do, you should still be able to get around fairly easily around a zoo or even an amusement park for that matter. But going to an amusement park with an amputee is a little iffy because there are some rides that you just can't ride as an amputee, and any ride where your ankles have to be secured, you probably won't be able to ride it as an amputee. So keep that in mind if you decide to take an amputee to an amusement park. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. It really shows me as the creator that you care about the time that it takes to create this content. I would ask you that you please like, subscribe, and share this video with a friend or someone who you think can benefit from this video. It really helps the algorithm when you like, share, and subscribe, and so thank you so much for doing those things. If you would like to see another video, click over here, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you, bye!